Hi, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Friday evening webinar session. I promised you that I'm going to have guests this week. And here is my very special guest for this week. And she is none other than Miss Parneet Shergill. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of introduction to her before she has an opportunity to talk. So first, let me talk, okay? So she's been in the field of education, teaching, counseling for the past 15 years. And she started off as a part-time lecturer. Believe it or not, she has worked in lots of different fashion institutes and also home science colleges. Now, for the past 4 years, she has been in the outreach team at Ashoka University. I'm sure all of you have heard of Ashoka University, and that's where we are here to talk more about it. And she is the assistant director of the outreach program. So, Ms. Parneet, I'm so happy you're here and you're taking the limelight today, and it's all about you. So, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm just going to go straight into my first question. So, if there are any students out there who are not familiar with Ashoka University, can you tell them a little bit about the university, your philosophy, and maybe one thing that we all probably don't know about Ashoka University?
Yeah, thank you so much, Sangeeta. I think this is the only bright side about the events that are happening around the world. We get to meet more people, and
Absolutely.
even a virtual session like this can be so interesting. So I think
Yes.
it's great to be here. I'm so happy to be a part of your Friday evening, as you call it. And
Absolutely.
like you said, yes, Ashoka, we have managed to reach out to so many people, and you want so the philosophy of Ashoka, I think the one thing that many people don't know is that we are one of the largest philanthropic initiatives in Asia. So no other educational institute in Asia can boast of this kind of the size of philanthropy that we see. We started off with four founders. There were these. It's really like a story, where four friends who themselves, some of them went to universities in the West or abroad, and they just thought it was when they came back to India and they were hiring. They found it so frustrating because they saw some brilliant minds, but somehow there was something amiss, and and the ones that were really good had already moved abroad. So that was what really they got their minds together, and they decided that it's not fair to the Indian student that any student who's looking for really good world class education either has to be able to afford it, and if they can't afford it, they just have to make do with what's available.
Right.
And somehow we weren't really coping with the times. The world had moved on, and we were still stuck in the same old teaching. The way we teach, the way we learn. I mean, you have students who are learning by heart, reproducing, and nothing is no application at all when it comes to real life. So I think that was pretty much. I mean, a lot of these kind of thoughts that brought them together, and they decided to make it. Like I said, they put in whatever money they could, and then they started reaching out to people in and around India and all over the world. And today we can proudly say that we are almost touching 150 such people with who are donating to the cause of Ashoka, and I call it the largest philanthropic. Again, I'm saying it's the largest philanthropic initiative because you will not see this kind. And trust me, I have a very tough time convincing students when I'm talking to students, when I'm talking to their parents, and I'm trying to tell them about this philosophy. It's so difficult to make them believe, but that's the truth, and that's how it is. And we are very proud that we fund students, and we really very strongly believe, and the vision really of the founders was to bring this world class education into the country, make sure it's affordable to everybody. And I think we are well on our way to achieving that objective. We're trying to create nurture students so that we have leaders for not only for India but across the world. So that.
Absolutely. I think the whole thing is, that whole mind shift that parents also have with regards to this new way of thinking that a university is having. You're not the conservative, and so I think it'll take some time, and y'all have done such a fantastic job of, I want to I can't find another word other than transforming
Right.
minds of even parents who thought only those conventional colleges were there. But you
Absolutely.
might want to explain a little bit what philanthropy means so that students actually understand.
Right.
I do, but then just so that they get an idea of what
Right.
it is that you're, yeah.
Right. So going back to that, we have people from the industry, and philanthropists who donate money. We run the university. That we have. I mean, a lot of people get a little overawed by the fees at Ashoka, but I always tell students, don't. That's not what you should be concerned about, because the financial aid that we give students is based completely on the need that their family has. So we call it the need-based financial aid. And this is how it works, Sangeeta. So when you start your application, we're not asking you for any of your financial background. You complete your
Mhm.
application. It's a long drawn admission process. We'll talk about it
We'll
later.
talk about it. Yeah,
Once you've submitted your application, you've been through the admission process. If we offer you admission, we ask you for a few documents. So we look at your assets, we look at your liabilities. So we completely understand that there are people, especially in the Indian culture, you have, young couples who are supporting their children, they're supporting some family members, they've got loans, they've got responsibilities. So based on the documents you submit to us, we make you an offer. And trust me, nobody has ever been rejected at Ashoka because they can't afford to pay the fees, because that is something we make it happen for you. You come to you're offered admission at Ashoka, and we make sure that you're there. And it has worked. Like I think there are enough people around who can vouch for that. And personally, I mean, I have seen this in the past that. So with so much of dedication, they go through the whole documents, and they make sure that they process it in a way where they make you such a fantastic offer that there are this year we are going to have 100 students who are on 100% financial aid, and
that's
it was the
amazing.
same last year. So in a batch of 650 to 700 students, you will have 100%, which is nearly 1/6 of the class, which is on 100% financial aid. And I think that is phenomenal, because
That's
today in India, when it's very sad, but when you talk of education, the first thing parents start thinking is how much money they need to save to make sure that their child gets a decent education. So,
absolutely. And just to back up what you were saying,
yeah,
parents, if you are listening, this is very, very important. Don't dismiss that opportunity you can give your child by, sending them to such a well-reputed university like Ashoka. When I was working at Kodaikanal International School as the career counselor there, Ms. Parmeet, we had a student from Afghanistan,
right,
and she applied. She wanted to continue to study in India, and so
right,
we encouraged her to apply to Ashoka, and she got a full scholarship for I
right.
think 3 or 4 years, the duration
Yes,
of her undergraduation right in the beginning, which
absolutely.
in this day and age in India to find is unreal. You know
Ab-
what I mean? So parents, this is true. I've seen it happen to one of my students itself. So of course, take that opportunity. I just want you, before we go into that admissions criteria and just talking about the admissions process, Ms. Parneet, can you tell us? So Ashoka is known to be a liberal art education
Right.
university, right? Is that true? Is that not true?
Yeah.
And can you
So,
explain how that works so that
yes.
parents have an understanding?
So Sangeeta, just to start with, we are going to call it a liberal arts and science university, because you and I know that people of our generation or older, when you tell them you're in a liberal arts university, which it's known as liberal arts in the US, but when you call it liberal arts, the first people just shut their minds and say, okay, it's a humanities college or
Right,
it's an
right.
arts college.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it took me a while to even people really close to me who knew I've been working at Ashoka, I had to actually sit them down and give them a little lecture as to explain to them what exactly liberal arts is. So to make things simpler, and yes, there's a really big focus on sciences. So it's a liberal arts and
Mhm.
science university, and just to keep things simple, we call it liberal education at Ashoka.
Perfect. Yes. Let's
So going back to liberal education, I just run through what the program structure and what the
please.
curriculum is. So parents will get and students will get an idea. So liberal education is, like the word liberal suggests, it gives you the freedom to pick and choose subjects. You are free to design your own curriculum. So we have X number of subjects that we offer, which include subjects across disciplines. So it could be the sciences, it could be the humanities, it could be the social and economic sciences. And based on the subjects that we offer, you are picking and choosing and making combinations. Now, again, for people like you and me who come from a very traditional form of education, it's very difficult to understand. But in simple words, when you join the university, you join for an undergraduate degree. You don't have to specify what subject you want to study. You join the university, we introduce you to a number of foundation courses. So these foundation courses are really a window. They expose you to critical thinking and different ways of learning, and different subjects that you can explore during your 3 years. Now, slowly students start getting an understanding. You have the faculty who's guiding you, and then you start picking and choosing subjects. So, the 3 years of the undergraduate program is made up of 6 semesters. Now, for 1.5 year, which is 3 semesters, you're picking and choosing subjects, and you're really making sense of where your passion and your interests lie. So, very simply, I tell students, you could be of any one of these categories. You might not know what you want to study. You're completely confused, and you can't decide what stream you must pick up. You could be a student who says, okay, I want to study economics, or I want to major in physics, and what do I do with that?
Mm-hmm.
Or you may say, I don't care. I mean, I really don't know what it is I want to study. I think I want to study this, or no, maybe I want to study this. And we see that all the time. It's very common. 17, 18-year-old kids, we burden them with this thing of
I
the
know.
decision.
Choose one thing. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Decide what you want to do for the rest of your life. And
Yeah.
think it's a little unfair. So in such cases, I think a liberal arts or a liberal arts and science college is really the best choice, because you get to understand where your interests lie. And of course, I think one of the really important factors is the fact that you can explore multiple disciplines. So
Yeah.
it's a very strong interdisciplinary curriculum. So you work with a international school, so you understand how important it is to have an interdisciplinary education in today's day and age. But students who come from a very rigid curriculum, they've been from class 11 and 12 been just focusing on that one curriculum, and they just don't know a world beyond that. They probably haven't even explored it. So this is a great opportunity for students like that. You understand where your interests lie. You understand how two subjects talk to each other. There is a so this interdisciplinary approach is something that is really important.
And you've seen that children who come from like one of those, where it's mainly academic, strong, have they been able to cope with a liberal education?
See, the point is that our whole admission process again is so holistic that we never have an issue with students coping, because that's one of the things that we when we are looking at a student's application or their profile, we really go through it with a lot of, and a lot of students, they say, oh, your application is so detailed. But the reason is because is we do not have any particular cutoffs. We believe that each student is unique, and we help the student explore and discover that uniqueness in themselves. And
Absolutely.
some
Yeah.
of them come back, before and after, the reaction is so different. Before they start the application, they're like, oh ma'am, how do I do this? It's such a detailed application. And in the end they say, you really got me. And
Yeah.
I think that is the beauty of that application. So
Yes.
many times I tell students, do the application, you'll get an in-depth understanding of yourself, if not anything
Absolutely.
else. So
Yes.
it's really a very holistic application that we look at. And yeah, and like I said, the curriculum is, it's beautiful. So you have the foundation courses, you have the major and minor courses, and you have the co-curricular courses.
Yes.
So you pick and choose these subjects, and in the end of the third semester, that's after you've completed 1.5 year, is when you have to declare your major. So you have that much time to actually, understand where exactly you should be focusing. And then the next 1.5 year you spend in building your majors. And then when you graduate, you graduate with a BA or a BSc honors in that one subject that you've decided to major in. So somehow, the way the curriculum is designed, you pick and choose subjects. There's an opportunity for every student. So there are more than 200 combinations you can make. with these subjects that we
Yeah,
offer.
I was just going to ask you. I mean, I think the beauty of it is that you get one major, degree in one major, but you've been
Yes.
exposed to like 20 other different type of subjects, right? Or whatever
Absolutely,
it is. How many are there?
and like I said, the connection between these subjects.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we're constantly talking about how you can connect some of these things. You know, there are kids who do psychology and music or chemistry or,
Right.
whatever it is, and you find that connection.
Yes. Yes.
So I know it's a really broad question right now, but can you give us an overview of the type of courses that you have? Like is it humanities and sciences or is it
So,
because
yeah, so broadly, I'll tell you. So, of course, you go through the foundation courses, which are very, they're very basic, and a lot of focus given to critical thinking because we all know, and everybody is talking about it today. The critical thinkers are the ones who are going to be the real problem solvers.
yes,
Look at the situation we are in today. I mean, I think about it, and 6 months ago, or maybe even 4 months ago, I never imagined I would be, leading a life like this. None of us imagined. And
absolutely.
how do we adapt to these situations? Not only this situation, we are going to come across so many different. Our lives are going to change,
Hmm.
and how are we going to adapt? How will businesses adapt? We are all adapting. I mean, you and I have adapted today.
Yeah,
So these are some of this is a very small example. Similarly, people are going to have to face these kind of, and that is what critical thinking does to you. It makes you good problem solvers, and it really doesn't matter what subject you majored in. You could be a political science major, but you could be working in a bank. You could be working as a risk analyst. You could be working as a business analyst. So that the opportunities are phenomenal. It's the
absolutely.
skills, the problem solving skills that you acquire, and backed by your very strong knowledge of your subject, your communication skills, effective communication skills. We nurture students to become leaders with a commitment to public service. So all these things that you acquire in your 3 and 3 and plus 3 plus 1 4 years, what are going to help you, what is going to help you deal with things that come your way. And talking about the subject, so you have everything from English, psychology, sociology and anthropology, computer science, physics, biology, chemistry. So you can make multiple combinations.
Right.
So that's and you pick choose subjects. You have interdisciplinary subjects. You have minors in visual arts, media studies,
Wow. Mhm.
entrepreneurship. And apart from this, Sangeeta, I think the beauty is the number of centers that we run at Ashoka. You have the Center for Political Data,
Yes.
which is doing extremely well. They are doing some phenomenal research, and you have we are coming up with a Center for Economic Data, and they're doing some really good research. And it's the academics club with your these kind of activities, your extracurricular. They're doing a host of things on campus,
On
and
campus.
it's yeah, just like your this, which is why we look at a very holistic application, because uh, your grooming on campus is you're really being groomed so beautifully that you'll be able to do multiple things at the same
Multiple things. So, students, if you attended my session on Tuesday, we talked about, so Ms. Parneet, we talked about employability skills on
time.
Tuesday. And one of the ones that I did, and every week we're going to do one employability skill so that students start to understand what they are. But the first one that I talked about was critical thinking and problem solving. And that's
Right.
exactly, the heart of, I think, what Ashoka University, the education that you are. So that's such a big skill. I remember if I told you that's what employers are looking for these soft skills or these power skills that you have. And here is an opportunity where you can actually, put that into practice and learn it for yourself through your undergraduate program. So let's just really quickly talk before I want to spend some time, a good amount of time just talking about the admission process. But can
Yeah.
you just quickly tell me about the collaborations that Ashoka University has with other universities?
Yeah, so we've got some fantastic collaborations, Sangeeta. And another thing is these collaborations, they're just not names that we like to put on our website.
Right.
Where they're very, very, very engaging collaborations. We have faculty from these universities. So you have like Yale, you have Penn Engineering, you have Berkeley, you have Wellesley, you have HEC Paris, you have Sciences Po, you have Lehigh University, you have Duke. So these are just some of the names, and the rest, of course, all the names are available on the website. You have King's College London, and it's we have students from Ashoka who can go there for their summer program.
Nice.
They can do a whole semester abroad, and that you're not paying any extra fees to that university. At the same time, we are continuously updating. Now, when we talk about bringing world class education into India, this is where the collaborations come into play. We are continuously upgrading our syllabus. And when a student passes out of Ashoka, he's going to be at par with any of these universities. Any a student who's passed out of any of these universities. So that is really, it's a very in-depth collaboration and very meaningful collaboration that we have with these universities.
Absolutely. And so are you saying also that if students graduate from here, their chances of being getting employed is equal to anyone
Absolutely.
who remains here in
Yes,
India also? I mean,
absolutely.
or is there any skepticism around it?
No, not at all. Not
Not
at
at
all.
all.
We've got some very good placement records. We've had in the last 2 years that we've placed students across 300 plus students have been placed in last year. And again, that I'll go back to placements. I mean, you have students who want to the best companies in the world and across sectors. So you have students from every sector from the industry is represented at
Absolutely.
and you have students who've gone into education, you've gone to development sector, you've gone to the banking and finance, and you've did multiple things, the media, publishing houses,
Of course.
entertainment sector, and our founders are very committed to making sure that students at Ashoka are really, it's like we belong to the Ashoka family, Sangeeta. So
Absolutely.
once
Yeah, I can
once
see
you're in
that.
Ashoka, that I mean,
You're always
yes.
here. Absolutely.
So we have
Uh,
support from the industry as well.
as well. Yeah, I know a lot of your graduates have been placed in really, really reputable organizations,
Right. Yeah,
multinational, and they go off to study for their masters and things
that's
like
right.
that. Students, parents, if you're listening, educators, we've talked about the philosophy of Ashoka. We've talked a little bit about the kind of courses. We've talked about the liberal education that they offer. We've talked about the kind of 21st century skills that they have imbibed into their curriculum, which is so important. We've talked about their collaborations. Now you must be wondering how we're going to get in. Okay, if this is somewhere that you're looking at getting in, grade 12 students, if you are listening, this is for you. So Ms. Parneet, can you give us like an idea of what is the application process like, or what are the different components that a student needs to keep in mind while applying to Ashoka?
Yeah. So, Sangeeta, I'm going to put it in four buckets, okay,
Perfect.
just to
Okay.
make it simple for students. So, overall, we look at your academics. So, we
Okay.
look at consistent academics. Now, again, we do not have any cutoff at Ashoka. So, you don't have to. I know I hear of universities around with crazy 98% and 99% cutoff. I mean, we don't believe in cutoffs.
Yeah.
You have to have
Good.
consistent academics. We look at your extracurricular, co-curricular activities. So you put that in one bucket. And in the third bucket, you put an essay. So there are three essay questions that you have to answer. We've given you prompts in the application. You answer those three essay questions. I'm putting it in one separate bucket because it's really important. We are
Right.
trying to understand your passions, your interests. So in all, we're looking at your life's journey. So the student's life's journey is important to us, and through that essay, we want you to bring out the uniqueness in you. So I think I've said it earlier. We believe that every student is unique. You need to discover that uniqueness in yourself. Spend some time on the application, and that's the third part. And the fourth part is, of course, the interview process.
Interview.
So that of course, the first three parts make it possible for you to join, to get qualified for an interview. If you qualify for the interview, then you have to go through the interview, and the interview is really really simple. And you just need to. We talk about your application,
Right.
what you've written in the application. It's a very informal conversation.
So it's very
So
important what they write in the application is the truth
absolutely.
because you will ask them.
So the thing is, in your academics, we want your 10th and 11th standard marks
Okay.
and your predicted scores for the 12th standard. We look at any other academic achievements. So that makes your academic section. Then you have the extracurricular and co-curricular activities. So even there, we are looking at activities you've engaged in. Now, again, we're very liberal. We don't look at certificates specifically. If you have a certificate to prove that you've done something, it's absolutely fine. If not, it's your experiences that count. So, like I give the example of reading. Some students are really passionate about reading. Now, you obviously can't show us a certificate saying that you read X number of books, but it's the content. What is it that you read? What are the genres of what are the kind of books you like to read, and what is it that that interests you in these books that you read, and what is it that you learn from them, or how did it change your life? How did it change the way you think? It could be anything like that. It could be music. It could be a hobby. It could be something like bird watching, or it can be anything.
Right.
So, the point is how deeply you've engaged in these
Mhm.
interests and passions, and how you can highlight them. Then, of course, the essay question again. The essay is very important. One thing I tell students is please write the essay yourself. And since we have parents listening here, this is something I love to tell parents. I get a lot of calls saying, ma'am, I'm filling my child's application,
Yeah.
and I have written this in the application. I want to submit it. So I think the first thing we need to do as adults and as parents is let the student take responsibility of his own application. Let them get involved in it, let them start doing it themselves. Of course, they would need certain help from us as parents, but that's fine. And
Absolutely.
when they own their application and they start doing it themselves, that's when the best comes out. Because you'd be surprised sometimes. The parents are not even aware about some things about the students.
Of
And
course. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, you've been a teacher, so you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. So,
and I think students need to feel like they got in
yeah,
on their own merit. You know what I mean? And that's why, for me as a counselor, I'm very particular that students do that entire application process. I have two questions just based on that, and then I just want to talk a little bit about the extracurricular activities. But firstly, what's the application to intake ratio? So, how many applications do you get per year, and how many do you
yeah.
actually take
So
in?
honestly, Sangeeta, I can't reveal the exact numbers to you, but
Right.
what I would like to tell you is we range between 15 to 8. Our acceptance rate is what you're trying to
Yes,
understand.
that's right.
We
Yeah.
we range between 15 to 18%. So
Percent. Yeah.
and it's I don't know. I'm honestly we I don't believe in these numbers really,
Right.
because a lot of students apply, but they really not done the application with the intention of it's a very typical mindset where you apply to 10 different universities.
Yeah.
We don't go by these numbers. But I mean, you asked me, so I'm telling
No,
you. But
absolutely. No,
yeah,
just so that students, or I think they need to understand that effort needs to be put into something like this. It's not something that you can think in grade 12 and do. So, for example, for me, when I think of thinking of having really good extracurricular activities, if my child was applying to you,
yeah,
I won't allow her to start only in grade 12. So, what
yeah,
I want students to understand is some of it might need some planning. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So even if it's rigorous to get in, it's okay. You just do your part of getting organized, of knowing these three components,
right,
and making sure that you're doing what you need to as a student.
right,
And parents also sometimes need to understand that, I
yeah,
think.
yes.
And does your essay question change every year, or is it
Not really, very, very mildly. I mean,
minor?
what we did is until last year we were asking them to write one long answer. But I think the admissions team, of course, with as the years go by, we are also getting we're understanding students better and the whole process better. So we've broken it up into three because we realized that a lot of times students were digressing. They were
Right,
missing
right.
the point. So we've broken it up into three just to give them a little bit of direction.
Yeah,
So, but basically, we just want
it's
to
all
know
the
their
same.
life's journey.
So
The way, yeah,
yeah,
that's
so grade 11 students, if you are listening, it's a great time. You're sitting at home, maybe go through the kind of essays, start writing drafts for next year. It's only for next year, but it's good to start getting your thoughts around it. Don't you think that's a good idea? I
it
mean,
is.
anyway, they have time right now. So I would rather they spend that. We're always trying to give them ideas of how they can use it well. Okay, so just
Truthfully.
yes, absolutely, fruitfully. So, just with regards to the extracurriculars, which I know is a new concept for a lot of students here, and we've seen them kind of struggle through what should it look like. So, just among, I'm sure you've gone through a lot of applications. So, what's like an ideal example or kind of profile that has stood out in your mind? I know it's not the standard, so students
Yeah.
don't think you
So,
have to have these extracurriculars on it, but something that stood out for you that a kid did.
so again, Sangeeta, there is no one right answer to that question,
Yes.
because I told you we look at each student. Each student is different, and we understand that. It's how deeply you engage in what you're passionate about. I think
Yeah.
that's the bottom line. You like to do something. You love economics. It's not only about getting great marks in economics. What are
Mm-hmm.
you doing beyond your curriculum? How deeply are you engaging in that? If you love economics, how deeply do you engage in that passion, your so-called passion of economics? So it can be anything. I mean, we sometimes we have students who come up with such amazing stuff, which I would have never even imagined. So it can be absolutely anything. And I mean, you mentioned the acceptance rate, and then we're talking about this, perfect application. But on that note, I would like to say, I really tell students, do not self-eliminate, because
Mm-hmm.
none of us know what it is that will strike a chord. You just do put in your best effort. A lot of times students have this tendency of comparing themselves to somebody in the previous batch, or some friend who hasn't gotten. Oh, ma'am, so and so with so and so marks didn't get in, and how can I get it? So it's, again, I tell students, it's different things that we look at, and we know what we look at. You probably don't, or probably that child didn't do something which you've done. Or
Yes.
it could be your essay, it could be your interest, it could be your extracurricular, it could be your academic achievements, it can be anything. So
Yeah.
just put in your best. Complete your application, spend some time on that application, because give it a little bit of thought. When you're writing the essay, spend some time on that essay. It's not just some words we're looking at. It's not high flown language that we're looking at. It's not great vocabulary. We're looking at the content of that essay. And the same goes for the extracurricular. So think about what you make. Start making. I tell students, start making a list. Jot down things that you've done, and then start thinking, how deeply have I engaged in this? If I have to talk about this in my interview, what can I talk about? I mean, how much is there to talk about it? Or is it just, okay, I won this prize because I did this? That's not good enough. Have you engaged in it beyond your school curriculum? How much time have you spent it? And trust me, if you're passionate about something, it will just come out.
Come naturally. Yeah, absolutely. And so rather than students looking at what would constitute a great profile, because there's no one answer for that, right, Ms.
Absolutely.
Palini? It's
Absolutely.
about the authenticity. So how real are you in that interest that you have, and
Yes.
how in depth is it? I mean, those are, I think, two.
You got it.
If those two, I should apply to Ashoka.
You got it. Absolutely.
If those two things reflect in your application, girls
Yes.
and boys, I think that's all they. So it doesn't, don't ask us. I mean, I know there are kids who ask, what is the list of activities I should do in order to, and that, yes, you need to see the kind of attributes that Ashoka is looking at in a student, and then try and see what interests or what extracurriculars kind of fit in with that. But also, just a general question I want for you is, what do you think are the advantages for a student who's like average? They've got average academic scores, but a great profile, like extracurriculars, compared to someone who's got really good scores, but not that great.
Equal opportunity. I mean, any
That's
student.
good to
We've
know.
got we've got different. So basically, like I told you, these four buckets. One may be really full up till there. The other one will be up till there. But together, what is the kind of mix that you make? I mean,
Correct.
some students have great marks but very average extracurricular. But that's where they've been so focused towards their academics that they've worked there. Others will have, like, okay, average academics. They've done something really great in the extracurricular.
Yeah.
Some of them just have an exceptional journey to their life. So
Yes.
they've got average, and they've got this beautiful story that comes out in the form of their essay. So it
Yes.
can be anything.
Any of those, absolutely. And when do you suggest that students start to work on their profile? Like which grade? From when do you all start?
I've been counseling students for a while now, and this is something I tell everybody, because the world has changed the way it has changed. From class 9, start thinking. I mean, I know they're very young, but as parents and as teachers, as counselors, we have to see that spark in them and start guiding them very slowly and very gently. It'll be small baby steps, but these steps
Yeah,
are what are going to make you find the right path. So
absolutely.
the class 9, I think, is a great time for students to.
Great. In the counseling world, and I'm sure you know that in grade 8, 9, normally what we say it's that exploration stage, right?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
and the nice way to do that is kind of having dialogues at home,
Right,
getting
right.
involved in different extracurriculars. That's how you kind of know what their skills are, what their
And
interests are.
yeah, and a lot of times, Sangeeta, you're a counselor, so you'll understand what I'm saying. When you give parents this suggestion, they'll probably just sit the child down at the table one day and say, "Okay, what do you want to do next?" That's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
It's I'm saying baby steps again. Observe your child, and I always say this. I'm a parent myself. Luckily, my kids are just out of college, so I've been through this whole grind. And you have, as a parent, as a teacher, as a counselor, you have to be, you have to have the right balance. You have to be very critical. You can't be so generous and say, "Oh, my child is good at everything. He's so brilliant. He does this." Because you see, and at the same time, don't be so critical that you just put the child down.
Down.
You have to have the
Absolutely.
right mix, the right balance, and that
Absolutely.
is going to help your child do the right application. So you have to be honest where it's required, and you have to really be supportive, and you have to be encouraging where it's required. So if you think that this person is getting carried away, then you have to literally
Calm
bring
them
them down and tell them,
down.
okay, this is the reality, child, and this is where you stand. And then there are times when they go through this phase, they look at somebody else and they say, "Oh, I'm useless and I'm not good at this and I'm not good at that." That's when you have to tell them, you have to encourage them and tell them, "You can do it. Come on." And I think it's just getting that right balance. And as parents and counselors, and I always say, I mean, I probably get you out of your job, but I always say this, that parents are the best counselors. And,
Yeah, I
of course,
agree.
the counselors, we are all there to support them. But
The thing is, they don't realize the power that they have. You know what I
absolutely,
mean? But once they realize how much of an impact they can make on their children,
yes.
it's miracles. So absolutely. And just I promise I'm going to take student questions, but I just need to get this in. How do you think having a strong profile helps a student in general, whether they're looking at a liberal education or not? How do you think just building a strong profile helps a child in general?
I think it just gives them the maturity to, like one I said, it gives them insight into, it actually gets you start thinking. Because I'll be very honest with you. I mean, when I first joined Ashoka and I said, okay, let me, I've been into teaching, and I've held an appointment with the with a company as a marketing head.
Right.
And, uh, and I've had, a very diverse background myself. And when I looked at the Ashoka application and it says, talk about your life's journey. And at 40 something, I said, oh God, if I had to write this, I have nothing to say, because I've never even given it a thought,
Right.
and I think in these 4 years, I have also been thinking, and I've grown in that aspect. And that is what I think it does to you. It actually triggers off that thing, and it says, okay, what is it? And I used to think, how can a 17 and 18-year-old talk about their life's journey? They've only lived on this surface of this earth for 18 years.
Right.
And actually, they come up with amazing things.
True.
And students are so creative today. It's commendable.
Yes.
And I think that's what it does to you. It gives you an insight. It gives you understanding. It gives you the maturity to understand what you're in for. You start exploring. So I think that really helps.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. So, students, if you are listening and you have time right now, grade 9, 10, 11, whatever, you just heard what Ms. Parneet said with regards to just how it helps you kind of define who you are, find out what you're passionate about. You need help with this, you're more than happy to get in touch with us. There's a link that's going to be on top of the chat box. Click on it. We'll get back to you and help you through, what kind of activities to do, things like that, help you to brainstorm, because now is when you need to start thinking about these things. Don't wait till it's too late. Okay. And as your parting words for this interview today or this webinar, as an educator, any advice you have for parents and students on how to cope during this time?
So this is something I've been telling my own children also. It's a temporary phase.
Right.
It's different, yes. It's shaken the whole world. And I just said it, Sangeeta, 4 months ago, we didn't dream that we would be in a situation like this.
Yes.
A confession I have to make, that I also went through, the initial days. I just couldn't understand what's going on. My whole, your whole world you're in a limbo. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. But I think, having said that, put that part aside. Try and make the most of the situation.
Absolutely.
I'm just looking at it in a positive way. I'm getting so much time to read. I'm getting, I'm connecting with people I, normally just connect once in 6 months.
Yes.
There's
More
so much
often.
available. We're so lucky we have the internet, and there's so much available on the internet. You educate yourself, read, explore. There is so much to do.
To
So
do.
and this is a phase. This will pass.
Yes.
We are too strong. The human race is too strong to
Yes.
to
We
get.
will overcome this for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I was just talking to my friend's daughter yesterday who was feeling really, low. And I told her, you know better. The economy is going to jump back. We're going to fight it out. And I think as long as we have that spirit, we'll make it. I mean, it's just
Absolutely. Okay. So the kids are asking me whether you're going to take the questions. Yes, we
absolutely.
are. Karma, we have actually just talked. He's got a question. Karma's got a question saying, what if a student is involved in many extracurricular activities but is not a perfectionist?
It's absolutely fine. At 18, we don't expect you to be perfect. So it's absolutely. So I'll go back to saying, do not eliminate yourself. Let us decide. Let the admissions team decide what it is that you're. And again, this is something else I would like to say, Sangeeta. A lot of students after the results call me and say, ma'am, I'm so disappointed. I didn't make it, or whatever. So it's not about A university or B university. Is probably that the curriculum is not suited for you. It could be that
Yes.
it can be anything. So don't get disappointed by these little failures, and they're not even failures. Trust me.
And I think what y'all are looking for more is the learning. I think that's what y'all are
Absolutely.
looking at, not at how perfect you've done something.
Exactly. It's
What did you
not it's
learn
not
through?
perfection.
Yes,
At your age, we're not looking at perfection.
perfection.
It's
Yes.
how passionate you are. Are you engaging in whatever you've tried? Have you been passionate about it, and what you did with that learning when you were trying these activities.
Ratmaj, I'm not going to take your question or comment. I'm just going to tell you we've already talked about the college admissions and what components. She did talk about the four different things that you need to keep in mind. Your transcripts are important, your extracurriculars are important, your essay is important. Those are three, right? Yeah.
Right. And the
Those
fourth
are
is the interview.
the interview. So those are the four. That's the part of the college admissions. We talked in great detail about it. If you missed it, you're more than welcome to look at our recorded webinar. Okay. Also, somebody has a. Can I join 5-year integrated PG course? Do you have one like that?
We don't have a 5 year. I think, Sangeeta, what I didn't mention, we missed that, is after the 3 years, you can do the fourth year. So the fourth year is optional.
Okay.
And after you get your BA and your BSc honors degree, you can move into the fourth year. You automatically move into your fourth year. That
Right.
is if you do not want to go, you don't want to work or do your master's right away. And the fourth year gives you a diploma in advanced studies and research. You can get in that fourth year, you can earn a double major. So you
Right.
have a minor and
Got it.
a major and a minor.
I
Your
know.
minor subject can become a major. You
Okay.
can pursue a new major, a new minor,
I know.
or you can do an advanced major. So the subject that you've already majored in, you can, so you
Do
have
an
these three
advance.
options. So
Okay.
you could do a 3+1. You can commit yourself to those 4 years, and after that, of course, we do run PhD and master's programs as well,
Did okay.
but not in all the subjects.
Okay. There's Janvi Singh who's asking, I got deferred. What are my chances to get a firm decision?
Right. So, Janvi, what I would like to tell you is, I think there is a condition we are waiting for your results. So when you put in your results, we will then make a final decision on your application. So I would say you've got 50% chances. So don't worry too much.
So, yeah.
Don't close other doors. Explore all your other options as well, because I'm saying you have 50% chances of making it, but you still have 50% chances.
Yes.
So it's whether the glass is half full or half empty.
Half empty, right? Okay. Atharva's asking, do you take students from any other liberal arts college to your college for majoring in second and third year? And also, do you have a journalism postgrad course?
Yeah, we don't have a postgrad course in journalism yet. We've got you can do a major in English and journalism. At the same time, talking about students from other colleges, we've just started a transfer policy. So
Okay.
there
Oh,
you
nice.
go online. We've just started it this year. So I can't remember if the application. I think the applications are still open. Yes, they are. So
Open.
you
Okay.
can try the transfer again. It will be very case specific. It depends on which university you're coming from, how many credits of those we can transfer to our program, and which semester you will join. So you need to
Join.
go into the detail. Go to the website, download the application. There's a separate section for a transfer student, and do the application.
Right. Absolutely. There's one. Nishka's asking, what do you suggest if I'm keen on law? Is Ashoka the best route? And can
Uh,
I do, if I
it's a
do,
great route, Nishka. I would say it's a great route because you can always do your law after you do your BA in political science. You can do your law after you do your BA in history and international relations, and because of the great focus on research, the focus on reading, your communication, you will have a very strong foundation to do a law program. So you'll have you're not restricting yourself. You never know, today you want to be a lawyer, maybe after those 3 years you might change your mind, but you have that option open of going back to your true passion, which is law.
law? Absolutely. Good. A few students are asking, so they average in both academics and extracurriculars. So is that okay? Is what
It's
they're.
absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. I told you it could be. We don't know what story will come out of your essay, and then again, don't compare yourself to another student who had similar marks and didn't get in. People with 65, 70% have got it, and people with a 98 haven't got it. So there is no perfect formula. There is no set formula, I would say. Uh,
I love that because I think a few students have asked, like, what's the cutoff,
yeah.
which is the normal way to actually think. There is no cutoff. It's all about that
And then
whole
and then we have.
application.
Yeah, sorry. We have these, you have the SAT, which is optional. So there are some students who want to submit the SAT scores, but again, it's optional. You don't want to submit it, it's fine. You can take the Ashoka aptitude test, which we take when you're called for the interview. So that's
Okay.
another option.
So then they do have an
Yeah.
aptitude. Okay. Do you have hostel facilities? Some students are
It is a Ashoka is a fully residential campus. When you join the university, you're expected to stay on campus. And trust me, for those of you who haven't seen the campus, once we are back to normal, once things are back to normal, you must visit the campus. We have campus tours every Monday and Friday, and trust me, once you visit the campus, you'll not want to live anywhere else.
Yeah, I've seen it from the outside. It looks amazing. My gosh, it looks like some other part of the world,
It's
different.
beautiful. It's and more than just the building and the structure. Of course, it's been designed by the world-renowned architect. But apart from that, it is the energy on campus is beautiful. It's so vibrant. The campus. You
Yeah.
have students and like I was talking about the campus tours. They are student volunteers. They themselves take you around, and parents and students who have visited and gone on these tours have always come back and told me, we love the passion with which students are taking us around and showing us the campus because they're so proud of being a part of the Ashoka family.
Oh, absolutely. They want to know, do you have microbiology and biotechnology? Do you have any of those
We
courses?
have biology as a subject, and under the biology umbrella, there's multiple things that are happening. In fact, I'd like to highlight the fact that the sciences at Ashoka are really, really great. I mean, for students who don't want to go into a typical engineering and a medical curriculum, you must explore this option. There's so much focus on research. There is real time research happening. You have brilliant faculty from across the world, and they're doing some research happening where students are involved with that research, and they're part of that whole research project.
Right.
And we've recently opened the Trivedi School of Biosciences, where the students are doing fantastic research, whether it's with data science, with synthetic biology, and multiple things, and it's great. It's great for students who are passionate about science but don't want to do a typical like a very set engineering or because a lot of students do engineering because they love science and there's nothing
Yes.
else they can
That
explore.
they know exactly. Do you have something called a Young Scholars program?
Yes. So
Yes.
yeah, for
So somebody's
students,
asking about that.
yes. So for the students who finishing their 10th standard and going into the 11th now, this academic year, or students who are going into their 12th. We have the Young Scholars program. It's a program which we run on campus. It's a summer program. But again, we've adapted to the the current situation. The
Right.
Young Scholars Program, or the YSP as we call it, has gone online. So it's a 5-day program, and then we've also started something new this year, Sangeeta, called the YSP A. It's a YSP Advanced. So you could
Okay.
enroll for a 2-week program. So please go online, students. The applications are still open. Enroll in the YSP, and it gives you an understanding of what exactly. In fact, I will send you an emailer which you can share with your students, which will have the application
Sure.
link, and it will give
Yes.
you this whole exposure with the YSP is going to really make you understand what a liberal arts and science college it really is all about, because
It's all
whatever I tell you, it's going to be nothing like experiencing it yourself. So it's a great idea to
absolutely. For students who are asking to look at that, yes. So please, for those who are interested at the Young Scholars Program, I think a lot of all the information that you need with regards to even courses, some of you are asking about computer science and math and commerce. If you get onto the Ashoka University website, you'll be able to find all the courses there, right, Ms. Parneet?
ample information available.
There's lots there. So all of these that you're asking, with the type of courses that they have, you're more than welcome to please go on. Also, Ms. Parneet, can you tell us about the timelines for now?
Yeah.
Kids are asking
So
if you're still open
yes,
and
we
whether
are.
they can apply.
We're
Yeah.
very much open for the fourth round. Just to go back to the timelines, we've got so we start in October. So as early as October is when the first round opens. So the fourth round is still going on. So for those of you who are looking at going to college in August, go on to the website and start an application. Submit it before the 22nd of May, and you will be eligible for admission. And there is no I mean, a lot of students think, oh gosh, this is the last round. Maybe I don't have enough opportunity. Maybe the seats are over. It's nothing like that. We've broken the whole thing up into 4 rounds so that, students are, some of them like to do an early application. Some of them are caught up in exams and they like to take their time to make up their mind. So we spread it out through, from October to May is when we're taking in applications. So you're still eligible. Please go online and start your application as soon as you can and submit it before the 22nd of May. You have an equal opportunity as anybody else who's already applied.
Who's absolutely okay. One last question. What if I participated? So he is asking, what if I participated in swimming and reached till pre-nationals? Will it have an impact? And there was another boy who was asking, he's playing sports as a state
Right.
level. Will that
Right.
hold good for you in the
Yes,
application?
absolutely. You've been passionate about swimming, and I know how much of effort goes into, training for any of these and to reach that level. So, yes, I mean, you pursued your passion. You reached a certain level, and you will, once you're filling in that, there will be a part which will ask you to what level you have played. So you can fill that in, and it will be, it will give a lot of weightage to your application. You must.
Yes, and a lot. I'm just going to comment on this. So, kids are saying, if I study at Ashoka, can I go into design? Can I go into acting? Can I? And the answer is yes. If you have a liberal education,
Yes.
yes, it's going to give you the opportunity to learn about all of these things. Then you can go and pursue something like whether it's acting or whether it's fashion, whatever it might be, in your masters, correct? Because I
Yes.
think you'll have quite a few fine arts courses
We
and
do.
things
We
like
do.
that. Yeah. So I hope I've answered all your questions. I know people like Kashvi and Arun Govind, you all have been asking questions about what kind of activities. We've already said there is no real list, but if you do need guidance with regards to that, please put your name. For all of you who are here, put your name on that form that is above the chat box. We're happy to help you, give you the guidance, give you kind of a roadmap with different extracurriculars that will fit based on the interest that you have. Okay, so I'm going to end on that. I'm going to give the students a few minutes to put down their details. But Ms. Parneet, thank you so much for being here today. I have taken 55 minutes of your day, but
My
it went by
pleasure,
so
absolutely.
quickly. It's gone by really quickly. I hope you can keep coming back and we can talk about different things and
Happy to.
We can think of different things that the kids are asking. If there are any questions that are pertaining to Ashoka, can I send them your way?
Most
So
welcome.
that, yeah, so then students, if we haven't touched upon your questions, we're happy to take it, and then we will be responding, and we will send some information, right? You'll send me something that I can send them,
I will.
and get onto the Ashoka website, look at what they need, look at the 4 components, start working on it right now, put your information on that form that's on above the chat box, and we'll be happy to start you on this journey. All right. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ms. Parni.
Thank you so much.
Have a great
Lovely to
evening.
be
Thank
here.
you. Yes, lovely
I
to have
wish
you
you all
too.
the best, students.
Yes, students, good luck. Make use of your time. All right. See you, students, tomorrow. Bye, Ms. Parni. Have a
Bye
good
bye.
evening.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.